Y'all, the Australian courts have been releasing more and more of the information and evidence on Erin Patterson. They released some of her police interview. We're talking about it in today's video.
Hey, 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 welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup at hey.
Now hold on everybody, let's do a quick sofa sidebar now. Keep in mind, ain't no cop, ain't no doctor, ain't no lawyer, ain't no therapist, ain't none of that fancy credentialed stuff, okay? Only credentials we got up in here is my sass, and this sofa. Now keep in mind also, I'm just giving my opinions on very public information, so do your own research, come to your own opinions, and drop them off in the comment section. And while you're down there, if you do like what you see here at the Sofa Squad, drop a little like, drop a little comment, drop a little share. It helps the channel out immensely. Now let's get edition. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. That's a sofa. This is a Paul. Y'all, my name's Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, my name's still Paul. Okay. Now, like I said, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be doing a watch and react kind of a thing, okay? Whatever you want to call it. This is to Erin Patterson's redacted police interview. It's just a little snippet of it. They have released this. More information is coming out more and more that's painting a picture of what really went on with the mushroom luncheon massacre. So at the time of this recording, Erin has not been sentenced yet. We are fast approaching that. It is basically the middle of August right now. Yeah. So I had to think about it for a second. It's the middle of August right now. So they're going to have victim impact statements, stuff like that towards the end of this month. So we're getting there. But as more stuff comes out, the more the picture is painted as to what went on, why some things took place, why they didn't take place. Now, if you're completely unfamiliar with this case, Erin Patterson was convicted of taking the life of 3 people and almost taking the life of another person by inviting them to her home and cooking a Beef Wellington with death cap mushrooms in them. She survived because she didn't have any herself, but she tried to pretend, that she was just as much a victim or whatever. Now, this was her estranged husband's family members, and well, they were all his family members, I guess, and her friends or family, whatever you want to call them at that point. But nonetheless, he ended up as her victim. Now, what we're watching is, like I said, a redacted police interview. So a couple of things that I want to go into this with, and y'all keep in mind as we watch it, that we're going to be talking about. First and foremost, the line, right? I mean, please, okay? But more than that is, or just as equal, whatever you want to say, her body language, her lack of body language, no affect, or however you say it, like just nothing there, okay? And then listen to the things that she seems to need to get attention for, even within the interview. Now, again, like my little intro said, I ain't no body language expert, okay? But I can smell something crazy when I see it, including me. Okay, so I'm not some expert like these other channels, but your spidey senses go off over certain things. And so we're just coming from that perspective, right? Now, that being said, let's go ahead and jump on in.
This is a DVD recorded interview between Detective Lead and Senior Constable Stephen Eppingstall and Erin Patterson of 84 Gibson Street, Leongatha, conducted at the Wonthaggi Police Station on Saturday the 5th of August 2023. Other person present is my corroborator.
Detective Senior Constable David Martin, LK, 40053.
Right. Erin, do you agree the time is now 4:41 p.m. by my watch?
Yep.
All right.
Now, before we even get into it, as you can already hear, it's not your video, it's not your TV. Yes, there does seem to be some kind of alien spacecraft landing in the middle of the office, okay? Like, I don't know what this is. It's probably just the recordings and the devices they have in this room and whatnot, right? So they're just getting the preliminary stuff out. Now, notice the dude that you can see in the video, he's just going, it's just right in this whole. Now, already you hear Erin. Yeah, she naturally has a kind of just matter-of-fact type thing, but it's really prevalent in this. Let's keep going.
Could you please state your full name and address for me?
Erin Patterson.
All right. Erin, I intend to interview you today in relation to the death of 2 people, being Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson. Before continuing, I must inform you that you do not have to say or do anything, but anything you say or do is being recorded and may be used as evidence in court. Do you understand that information?
Yeah.
All right. I must also inform you of the following rights. You may communicate with or attempt to communicate with a friend or relative to tell that person of your whereabouts.
Okay.
You may communicate with or attempt to communicate with a legal practitioner. If you're not an Australian citizen or permanent resident here in Australia, you may communicate with or attempt to communicate with the consular office of the country of which you are a citizen.
Okay.
Do you understand all of these rights?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I think is interesting here, just completely side note from what she's actually getting ready to say, is how similar this is to how the procedure goes here in the States. Now, also, and again, this is literally just me, I'm not preparing notes or anything like this, so I'm just thinking off the cuff here or whatever, or not looking stuff up or whatever. So the part where he says that you can contact a friend, like the TV show, do they say that here in the States, or is that just presumed? So like if you're being questioned, could you be like, well, I want to call my dad, or I want to call my so-and-so? Because my presumption is that you could do anything. You could also be like, I want to get up and leave, right? But I think that it's interesting that they specifically say that in this one. But again, when this is done with, I could go look that up and be like, oh, they say it here in the States too, right? But just off the top of my head, I thought that was an interesting difference. Now you see they're literally spelling it all out. And just like I said, remember, she could get up and just walk out as far as I know, right? Now that you could be like, if people who are from there, let me know in the comment section. You might be like, no, when you're at this point, you ain't leaving, right? But also it would look bad if you did, so like there's a bit of a thing of like, oh, I want to get up and walk out, but it's gonna look really bad if I do, right? Let's keep going.
Okay. Do you wish to exercise any of these rights before the interview proceeds?
No, sorry. No.
That's all right. Now, I'll just confirm with you that you've had an opportunity to speak to a solicitor before this interview commenced. Okay, and you're happy with that?
Yep.
All right. Now, I'll also remind you that your rights are with you for the entire time you're with us. Okay, so if you decide later on you want to exercise any of those rights, you just let me know and we'll do that. All right. Now, what is your age and date of birth?
48, 30th of the 9th, 74.
And are you an Australian citizen?
Yeah.
Are you a permanent resident here in Australia?
I was born here and I live here and I'm a resident of Australia. Is that what that would be?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
This is what I'm talking about. And again, I don't know if this is just, this is a personality trait, or if the way she's talking, this matter of fact thing, if this is like oh no, there's Aussies who, this is just their vibe, right? There's very kind of, almost like the difference that you could say like between a Southerner and a New Yorker, that people will say there's nuances and whatnot. So like to me, Erin's coming off very much like annoyed, okay? Like just like annoyed with this, like, yeah, no, it's from here. Almost like, come on, get to it. What do we, spit it out kind of an energy. That might be like, oh no, this is common, or I don't know, right? So if you're from there, help me out, right? Now, speaking to a lot of you, now granted, we haven't talked like obviously in person or whatever, most of the Aussies that I talked to here in the comment section on live chats and stuff like that seem real chill and laid back. The opposite of what I'm getting from Erin, right? So I just think that part's interesting, but I also don't want to sit here and be biased and being like, oh, well, she's just completely over it, when y'all might be like, oh no, Paul, this is a regular tone of speech or whatnot. I don't know, let's keep going.
And are you of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, as we discussed earlier, and we've been together for a few hours now, until after 11:30 that we came to your house today. We want to discuss the deaths of Heather Wilkinson and Gail Patterson today with you. When we were at the house earlier, we discussed that you hadn't really been kept in the loop, and it come as news to you that Heather and Gail had both passed away. Following eating at your house, Donald, Ian, Gail and Heather all become so ill that they ultimately ended up in the intensive care unit at both the Dandenong Hospital and then moved to the Austin Hospital. Right. Following that, they had a deterioration in their condition, and that they become so ill that their livers have failed. Right. Donald underwent transplant last night. Okay, and his condition is still extremely critical as of last report. Heather and Gail passed away. In relation to Ian, I don't have a current prognosis in relation to where he's at. As of late yesterday, the diagnosis isn't great for him either.
Okay, let's pause before we go on because I have lots to say. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and this is going to be a different video that I do with some more evidence that's come out. By the time that she is here, by the time that the people were in the hospital, multiple sources had already been telling the people that needed to know at that point, this is probably an intentional poisoning. Right. So we're getting bits and pieces coming out, but more information that's come out that they didn't let in the trial, but they heard in pre-trial hearings. Literally, right? So the cops have all this information. So keep this in mind. They're going into this most likely with, we have all this evidence already of people talking with historic narratives of their situation and relationships with Erin, that this is most likely an intentional thing. I know I hate saying intentional and unintentional, but good Lord, we've got to sometimes, okay? Now, that being said, also, there was a jump cut in here. Remember, this is redacted, this is this and that. So again, I try and be like, look at all sides. At the first part where he's talking about whichever one it was that got sick or whatever, there's no reaction, but there was a jump cut. So maybe she did some dramatics then. But then the second time where he talked about people dying, people, a transplant, when she went, okay. Now, I would say this. Yes, I'm human, so I do sit here and have an expectation of what I expect somebody to act like in certain situations. On the same note, I also sit over here and say, Paul, everyone acts differently. I don't know what I would do in that situation. Do I think I would fall down and like blubber and cry? I doubt it. This is pretending that you're receiving the news and you didn't try and kill them, right? That's a whole other, situation, right? Pretend you're literally getting this news, but you've also already heard it and know, so it's just kind of secondary, and you're being questioned on suspicion. You're probably going to be more concerned and nervous about that than to just break down crying. But again, if you were innocent, you might not be nervous in that way, right? I could go down the whole rabbit hole. However, what I'm getting at, what I'm trying to sell here, okay, is that I don't think she has any kind of emotion about it whatsoever. Okay, for someone who goes on, and we'll hear her later, they were my family. I love them. I did them. That whole thing. And it's just like, okay, but you're not acting like you give two what about the whole situation. Now, the cop's finally going to spit it out and be like, this is what we are trying to question. So let's hear what he has to say.
We're trying to understand what has made them so ill. You understand?
Yeah.
While we're asking these questions.
Yeah.
Conversely, we're trying to understand why you're not that ill.
Okay, side note, number one, shameless plug for our podcast channel. So we reviewed this on the podcast channel, like a live reaction type thing. And I said this in the podcast channel, but I'll say it here too. Her doing this right here, y'all would have had to hold me back, okay? That is so condescending to me in like any normal circumstance. That would have been my 13th reason. That would have been the straw that brought the camel's back, my 13th reason. However you say that saying today, it would have been that for me. If I was a cop, I would have caught some charges. I would have been like, look, I'm gonna do a little bit of time over this, okay? Look, I might have to get off the investigation, but I'm coming up over the table if she says, one more time. Now, secondly, especially, that's her answer to the obvious question. Yeah, so we're trying to figure out, and I loved how they say it, like they got like super sick and like, why didn't you? Okay. Like, this is what this case literally comes down to at this point. Everybody came over to your house for food and is dying a horrible death, okay, that no one deserves, especially these innocent people, right? And you're over here, and now keep this in mind too for this part where she starts talking about, well, when you go into the hospital and they want to do this, and I have to go get a ballet bag ready, and it's like, girl, your guests are getting organ transplants and dying, and you're over here talking about, I gotta go home and pack a ballet bag for my kid. This is red flag central 101.
So you understand why we're interviewing you today?
Yeah, I do. And I'm sure you understand too that, like, I've never been in a situation like this before, and I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because I wanted to help that side of things as much as possible because I do want to know what happened. So I've given them as much information as they've asked for and offered up all the food and all the information about where the food came from.
Okay, Paul, I just had this idea right here. Dr. Barry, I'm going to ask Dr. Barry to come on the podcast channel and do a live chat and rewatch this and break it down because I've got questions, okay, like psychological questions. Okay, so number one, this is a huge question. Y'all help me remember because I'll forget to ask her. When he's like, we're trying to figure this out, whatever, and she immediately turns it around and says, well, I want you to know that I've never been in a situation like this and I've been very helpful and I've I've shown all the food. Okay, so that right now, obviously we know like a big thing here is like, well, Paul, because she killed him, right? Of course she's gonna say that. But like, okay, if you try and put yourself in her shoes or someone that would do this. So it's like, okay, you've poisoned your guests and your family. You're trying to get away with it, but they can't, like the mask, it slips, the self-centeredness, the what about me slips through. Does that make sense? So like here, right here, she goes and immediately like, well, look at all the good things I do. Now, in a minute when he starts talking about, you pointed out some fruit platters in the fridge, I'm like, girl, this is what we're giving out compliment sandwiches over? You know, and I get where she's trying to come from because she's like, look, I was being helpful, I was being cooperative. Why would a guilty person, I showed you the fruit platter, for God's sakes. You know, why would a guilty person do that, right? Well, let's find out why.
I fully understand that.
Yeah.
All right. At the house, and I must say, for the record again, you were very helpful at the house, and you did point out a couple of things for us that will help us with our investigation. Mainly the fruit platter that you said Heather bought for you, and the gravy in the fridge in the pantry that you said was from the night, and you kept on advice from the health department.
This is what I'm talking about, y'all. I mean, he's literally like, yes, we went to your house and you hung up my jacket. I can't do the accent. I tried, I can't do it. I know I'm butchering it. But it's literally like, well, you opened the door for us and you hung up our jacket and you said hello. And it's like, literally like you're talking to a toddler. But you also hear, he's like, you pointed out the fruit platter, yeah, the gravy, this, you know. So it's like, again, she's pointing these things out and being like, well, so-and-so made that. So-and-so made that. You know, she's probably like, the gravy was terrible. It might have been the gravy. Don't say nothing. I don't want to hurt her feelings about that family recipe, but it might have been the gravy. You know she was trying to give that energy, right? The whole time. Immediately, they already have 5 people talking about, it was her, she did it, she poisoned us, right? But you know she was trying to serve that, okay? But this is like the compliment sandwiches that they're trying to totally hang out to her, or hand out to her. And again, it's just, y'all, please hold, okay? I'm doing this right now, okay? We're phoning a friend. You know how they said you could call a friend? We are phoning a friend right now. Now we're gonna really phone, but we're texting a friend. We are texting Dr. Bear right now because I will forget to do it. We have to get her on to do this. Okay, I found her DM. Okay, let's just dial her up. Would you want to come on and do a live reaction and talk about Erin's police interview? Send. Let's see what she says. Okay, now let's just get back to Erin for now.
So thank you for that. You also pointed out a recipe book on the counter, and you referred me to page 250 odd, a recipe for Beef Wellington that you indicated was the recipe that you cooked. Okay. All right, on what we saw at your address in Leongatha. We didn't see a lot of food from Asian grocers or Indian grocers or those kind of stores.
To look in my fridge, I've got a lot of Asian cooking.
Okay, so to pause, right? I've done a lot, or got whatever she said. The little things at the bottom, the closed caption says that she says, I got a lot of Asian cooking. Side note, if you're reading the closed captionings, they were sending me, okay, they're so funny the way they mess up stuff. Regardless, she's going down the let's blame a minority group of people rabbit hole with this, right? Like that was gonna be her go-to, okay? But you heard the other things, like you pointed to the recipe, you did this, you did that. I mean, again, they're absolutely just trying to just play to her ego here. But I think that it works with her because I think in her mind, she's like, yeah, I mean, I did these things. I'm a good person. Again, I said this in the live chat, I'll say it now. She 100% is giving Annie Wilkes. Right? 100%. And also, I was saying this in live chat too, I'll say it here again too. Okay, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about is Misery, Annie Wilkes, the character, Stephen King's book. If you're familiar enough with the movie and remember it, I've seen it hundreds of times, and I just started watching Castle Rock season 2 because of this right here, okay? But when Annie will go into like a mental spin in the movie and be like, I have to go, I might not come back. If I die, you die. Like those moments, or the look on her face, like that, you just know something's off. And I mean, Kathy Bates is amazing, right? That's literally what Erin looks like to me. That is what, to me, Erin's giving. That kind of, you just consider, there's just something not right.
Okay.
Stuff in my fridge.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we likely to find more of that kind of stuff in your Mount Waverley address, do you think, or?
No, because I did a big clean out of the pantry and fridge the last time that I was there because I want to sell that place.
Okay. All right.
So the pantry and fridge there will be empty.
Okay. So you want to sell that place? All right. No problem. Obviously, we've got concerns in relation to the mushrooms and where they've come from. Okay. Is that something you've done in the past, foraging for the mushrooms or anything like that? Never.
Okay, major pause here, y'all. Major pause. First of all, when he was talking about selling the house, whatever, and I'm not sure if they're talking about the same house, but she was denied being able to sell a house recently. And I'm not sure why, but I just remember the headline and I haven't done a video on it. Okay, when he asked her about the foraging, she said, never done it. Again, I said this in live chat, honey, you would have had my entire personality trait leading up to this would have been, I like to forage food, period. If you ran into me anywhere, I would have the butterfly thing in my hand, the safari hat on my head. I'd be talking about I'm on my way to forage and I'm on my way back to forage, and a little net would constantly have death cap mushrooms in it. Couldn't tell me nothing, okay? 100% that's all I would have talked about and left evidence for. Clearly she didn't do all that, okay. Now also what we have learned is that in pre-trial stuff and whatnot, it was basically done in such a way that if she was gonna go with the foraging thing, the prosecutors were going to bring out evidence of, well, here's this kitty cat post that she did talking about my cat got into poison and or mushrooms and this, that, and the other, whatever. So essentially Erin's, what do you call it, MO, her reasoning for doing it, I can't think, motivation, whatever, she couldn't go with the foraging because now it makes more sense to me. And I can do a separate video on that whole article that I read or whatever because it's way too in depth for this, but it all makes sense now why they didn't go for that. Now, even if they had, they could have played this video talking about where she says she's never done it. And she could have been like, oh, well, I think one of the things was like, well, I meant just for that specific thing. Honey, I would have been like, I'd never foraged before, but I did it for this meal. You know, I was going to make a hand scratch meal and I went out and foraged it. I had my butterfly net. I don't know why I think you need a butterfly net to forage. Somebody in the live chat also said a little wooden basket. Honey, and I said to this too, when they came to talk to me, they would have had to come find me because what I've been doing, I would have been foraging. Once it all popped off like this, if she really, whether she meant to kill everybody or make them say, I don't know, but once everybody died, oh, honey, that's all I would have been doing was foraging. I'm foraging the kids' cereal. I'm foraging a pizza for dinner. Doesn't matter, okay? That's all I would have done. And maybe if she had been able to successfully argue a foraging thing, not that I'm trying to like, you know, wish she got out of this, she could have gotten more of like a voluntary, no, what do you call it, involuntary manslaughter or whatever like their equivalent is over there for that. But clearly that didn't happen.
Do you preserve foods or anything like that?
No.
Have you ever dehydrated food or anything like that? Okay. You've described to me relationship with your ex-partner Simon.
Now pause right there before we get into Simon. When he asked her about the dehydrator, you heard him say, do you need dehydrator or anything like that? No. Now that's gonna come bite her in the butt here in a minute in the interview, but also keep in mind, she was tap dancing on that videotape at the tip, throwing the thing away. Very obviously her car, very obviously the dehydrator. Again, for me, I would have kept that thing, and when they asked me, do you want a dehydrator? Absolutely. Used it this morning to make the banana crisp. You want one? Got them in my purse. Where did I get the bananas? I foraged them. Where? I don't know. I don't know where they grow. That's beside the point right now. All I know is I foraged them. and I used the dehydrator this morning to make the banana chips, okay? Like, do you want one or not? Stop asking all these petty questions, right? Okay, like, come on, work with me. I'm a professional forager. I've got places to be and things to forage. Good Lord, can we wrap this up?
I'd like to understand why you had his parents and his uncle and auntie over for lunch on the 21st of July.
Because I've got no other family, so they're the only support I've got left, and they've always been really good to me.
Yeah.
And I want to maintain those relationships with them in spite of what's happened with Simon.
Okay.
I love them a lot. They've always been really good to me.
Can't even look them in the eye when she says that. Notice that she said, I love them a lot. They've always been good to me, despite Simon. Can't even look him in the eye. She should feel bad because she's not lying here. We know that, right? The evidence shows they were very accepting. They were very open. We also learned that they also knew this stuff's flying around that she's been trying to poison Simon, and they were still willing to be, open-minded about her. And sadly, it cost them their lives. But I mean, these were seemingly very forgiving people. I'm not sure if that's the right word I'm looking for, but I mean, yeah, she should hold her head down. I mean, this was just like pointless, but also notice the way she's talking about it. I have no other family. And this all might be true, but she just has this thing where it's like she's constantly aligning herself as the victim.
And they always said to me that they would support me with love and emotional support, even though Simon and I were separated. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because my parents are both gone. My grandparents are all gone. They're the only family that I've got.
Yeah.
And they're the only grandparents that my children have. And I want them to stay in my kids' life.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. And I think Simon hated that I still had a relationship with his parents. But I love them.
Okay, so now, and maybe somebody said this in the live chat. What do we think that she was doing? Maybe it was Northwest. Northwest, if you're watching, drop in the comments if this was you. A theory that basically she was killing them to get back at Simon. You see what I'm saying? Because she goes on like, I love them. They were my grandparents, or my children's only grandparents, and the only family, and this and the other. And I'm like, then why would you kill them? Now, I know also the other thing is obvious where it's like, well, Paul, you're trying to make sense out of something that would never make sense, right? And that's one of my toxic traits is with these cases, I get so hung up on the why. Like, I want to figure it out so bad. And this is one thing about this case that drives me crazy because I can't put my finger on it. It's like, we'll never know. Like, what is the why? What is the motivation? Because even when you look at, like, say, some serial killers, let's use Jeffrey Dahmer as an example. You can see the motivations. Like, the why to it is like, now granted, it's still complicated and twisted, but you can see it. There's so many contradictions, and that's a key word for this case is contradictions in this particular case that make it so confusing. If you wanted this, why did you do that? If you wanted that, why did you do this? It doesn't make sense.
Nothing that's ever happened between us, nothing he's ever done to me will change the fact that they're good, decent people that have never done anything wrong by me ever.
So we've been told that on the 31st of July, so 2 days after the lunch, you went to the Leongatha Hospital. Okay, and that you were only there for about 5 minutes and then you left. Can you explain why you went there for 5 minutes?
Now let's pause real quick before she explains why she was only at the hospital for 5 minutes, 2 days after the lunch, or whatever it was. Okay, first of all, I just had this thought too, and y'all tell me what you think. One thing that could be throwing me off is like she's saying all this stuff right here. She could be lying. She could hate these people. Remember how she said in the evidence about like, oh, this family? Of course you're not going to sit there in this situation and be like, oh, yeah, God, I couldn't stand them, right? They were terrible leeches, wanted all my money, right? But that's maybe what she really thinks. Of course you're going to be in a situation like, I love them. They were wonderful. They were my kids' grandparents. I never wanted anything bad to happen to them. Like, right? Like, why would you say anything shy of that? So now I'm thinking Erin probably actually couldn't stand these people. And she's just saying this, or she's saying this about the idea that she wishes was there. You know what I mean? Almost like when, like, say if you look at like relationships and things like that, where it's like, I wish this was this way, but this is actually the reality of it, right? And I feel like maybe that's what's going on here. Now, this part right here where they start getting into the hospital stuff, again, Mr. Obvious, like, we love these questions. Why were you only there for 5 minutes? Now, again, remember the beginning I told you? Pay attention to her answers. There's people like dropping dead around her and she's concerned about doing ballet classes and stuff like that. Just prepare yourself.
Yeah, because I just went there thinking I needed a couple of bags of saline because I was really dehydrated. And they said, we want to admit you and send you to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And when you've got animals at home,
Yep.
and children who have multiple after-school activities, you can't just be told to drop everything and you're off to Melbourne for overnight. So I had to go home and feed the animals and pack my daughter's ballet bag
Yep.
Okay, so pause. This right here is telling them, so you're not that sick. Why on earth would you go to the hospital for dehydration? Like, what a coincidence. The only reason you would be rolling up in there is if you were deathly ill, like her guests were. So she coming in here talking about like, oh, I went in there and they were like, oh, you need to, you know, do this and do that and go here. But I've got animals, I've got kids, I've got this. You could have called Simon. If any normal person, if you were not guilty and you went in, they're like, look, you might have eaten some death cap mushrooms. We got to do this. You would be helping them hook the IV up to you. You'd be like, give me the needle. There's no time to wait. I mean, I'll figure out how to do it myself. You would be doing all that. Not like, oh, wait, I've got to run to the store and sift through some sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Like, do all this stuff. You wouldn't be doing all that. You would be eager and happy to get whatever treatment there was.
And I did that. And I went back.
Okay. Who did you speak to?
So I walked in.
Yep.
And there was like, I don't think they were a nurse. It was like, I don't know, it could have been an enrolled nurse it was like a helper person in the triage room, right? And she's just like, are you okay? And I said, well, no, I have to run to the toilet. I've got diarrhea. And she wasn't quite sure where it was. And so she went and found out and showed me where it was. And then she said, I'll go and find someone. I'll get a nurse or a doctor for you. And so I went to the toilet. I came back out and I was waiting in the triage area. And then a doctor came out, Dr. Webster. And he said to me, sorry, that we're going to be a little while because we've got a couple of critical patients in the hospital. And I said, that's fine, don't worry about me, I'm just a gastro case. I'm not urgent, obviously.
So hold on right there. First of all, the whole thing, oh, don't worry about me, I'm just a gastro case. Already diagnosed herself walking in, like that kind of arrogance. So it's like, okay, then why are you here? Acting like a random person. Because, and I can't remember right now off the top of my head, if at this point she'd been told like, hey, everybody's getting sick. I feel like she knew that. So going in, it's almost like, well, why are you acting like I would have been like this. Yeah, I want to come in. I had guests at my house, they're deathly ill. They had some food. It might be, I don't know what happened, but I want to get checked out. I don't really feel that good either. This is if like you were completely like innocent and didn't do the things that she just did, right? Secondly, can we talk about too, she's talking about like, I need to go to the bathroom, I've got diarrhea, wearing some white britches up in there. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough. I mean, honestly. And she's wearing those white breeches in every video. See, those are like her little uniform. Now, I'm not like down on her for that. Like we all got like our comfy things. I mean, I've got my little shorts on. I'm wearing my shirt. Now, I know I do have other color t-shirts in this, but it just makes sense for recording, okay? But it is kind of my little uniform, if you will.
He said, oh, what's your name? And I said, Erin. And he said, oh, we've been expecting you because other people that you ate with on Saturday were sick.
Yeah.
And he said, can you come through? And I said, sure. And I came in. And then he said to me, I can't say the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, we've got a concern they've eaten death cap mushrooms. Okay. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, that's what we think they've eaten.
Yep.
And then he started asking me about what food I served them, and I told him.
All right.
Now this part here where she's trying to act surprised, remember at this point, Dr. Webster, who she was talking to, had already been informed by other people the suspicions of Erin. Also keep in mind too, that these poisonings and stuff like that she did to Simon, apparently they never detected those, okay? Now he was able to deduct down that, hey, I think she's trying to poison me, but in the moment they were not detected. So she probably was thinking, she was probably never planning for this to get that far, right? A poisoner, and again, I don't know, again, Dr. Barry, we're waiting to hear back from her, don't worry, we'll get it done. But a poisoner's psychological makeup, I would assume part of that is the incognito aspect of poisoning. They're most likely not going to find this. Now, the little bit that I've looked into it, apparently poisoning is like, I'm not trying to say an easy way to kill somebody, but it's more of like if you're trying to get away with something, not to put any ideas in any of your heads, but like that's a way that people do stuff. I mean, obviously, look, this just caught up to her. Okay, this just caught up. If she had never tried to poison Simon in the past and do any of that and pretended to be a forager, she probably could have gotten away with this. She probably could have been like, and maybe again like a lesser charge and walked out in like less than 10 years, right? Or some kind of involuntary thing or whatever. But she got cocky and she messed up.
I understand you went down to the hospital and got treatment and that. Mm-hmm. What kind of treatment did you get?
Oh, they hooked me up to a drip.
A drip?
Yeah. They said that because we're concerned. So Dr. Webster had to leave. I think he was at the end of his shift, and he passed on to another doctor, Dr. Foot. And she said to me, because the concern is that everybody's eaten something that hurts your liver, we need to give you this protective medicine. And so there was saline and acetyl something or other. I don't know what it was. But she said, we need to give you this and then put you in an ambulance up to Melbourne where they can give you more, I don't know what the word is, more, where they can care for you better. Yeah. So I got saline and this other stuff and went in an ambulance up.
Okay.
No, again, this part right here, again, if you were innocent and they did this, you'd be like, there's no time to start the helicopter. I'll start running up to Melbourne right now. Just put the saline thing in my arm. I got to run up the interstate, right? There's no time to wait. You would be begging for this, but the only reason you wouldn't is because you know you didn't have it. This is the thing where these people telling themselves, and by these people, I mean people who kill their family and friends and whatever, they don't want to put the energy in because they know they're not, like if it's a search and rescue, they know they're not going to find them. They know where it's going to be. And so to them, there's a reason they killed them, right? I mean, at the heart of it, it's like they didn't want them around on some level. So do you think they want to spend their time grieving at like a little thing and searching somewhere for him? No. Do you think she wants to waste her time going to Melbourne, getting this medicine that she might not know what it's going to do to her, right? Since she knows she didn't eat the death caps. So she already knows that. So she might be like, well, I don't know what it's going to do, but... Okay, see where I'm going with this? So there's this whole level of this. Again, if it was me right now in this interview, I'd have my little safari hat on, foraging butterfly net, saline drip in my arm. Okay, at this point I'd be like, yeah, I went to the hospital, and yeah, I want to take it out. It's 5 days old. I probably got an infection, but I'm still trying to fight off the death cap mushrooms that I foraged. They're right here. Do you want to test these too? I'd be selling this up to the very end. Very end. Okay.
How long were you in the hospital for in Melbourne?
Till Tuesday afternoon.
That's Monday, Tuesday. And again, for full disclosure, so you understand, we've obtained warrants in relation to medical records for everyone involved in this.
Okay.
So we will get medical records in relation to your treatment there as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Good.
You were at home and present when we did a search warrant today, all right? I know you weren't watching everyone at all the time, but I just want to go through on tape some of the stuff. And like I said, we'll give you a copy of this, everything we've received.
Okay, so first of all, when he did that thing right there talking about, I'm just letting you know we're getting warrants for medical records, you know she had to be a little bit like, oof. Okay. She's trying to play it off, right? Now, side note, Dr. Berry just texted back. She said, yes, I would love to do that. When were you thinking? So just be on the lookout. And if this is like way past this, we'll go on over to the podcast channel. We've already done it at this point, right?
Kitchen, far left one drawer, instruction manual for a Sunbeam food lab electronic dehydrator.
Okay. Time out. You saw her this. When they said the dehydrator, she went like this. She just did a crash landing in those white britches. I'm talking no survivors, skid marks left and damn right all over those things. I know I would have. If I was sitting there talking about this with my little butterfly thing with the mushrooms, I would have just been like this. I'd have been like my little tisket a tasket in this arm. Game over. Okay, deceased right then and there. Okay, you know that meme, like, this is the moment when they knew they effed up. This is that right there.
What's that in relation to? Do you know anything about a dehydrator in your house? Or? Okay. Do you own the dehydrator?
No.
Okay, that's him right there. You don't? Okay. She's lying, right? So they're putting all this together. They're just gathering evidence. She didn't stand a chance.
I've got manuals of lots of stuff I've collected over the years. I've had all sorts of appliances and I just keep them all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When did you own a dehydrator?
I don't know, I've had one years ago.
Okay. What did you use that for?
Like when I first got the Thermomix, I got really excited about like making everything from scratch,
okay.
you know, and
yeah.
I did a lot of, you know, like everything from scratch ingredients, and I did a lot of that, so I could have had something like that.
Okay.
Again, right here, I would have been like, you want a dehydrator? Yeah, absolutely. You already asked me that. I've got the banana chips. You want some more? You seem to like them. Right here, how long have you owned one? That was when I came out of my mom's womb. I was talking about what's that little Susie, that little not wake and bake. What's that little bake thing that you could get as a kid or whatever? You know what I'm talking about. I would have been like, after that, I asked for my first dehydrator. I don't even care if they were invented back then. I would have been like, I wanted one right from the go. This is the story she needed to go with. Before I got really excited about making things from scratch and but it seems so obvious right now. Of course, this is sofa sidebar. Hindsight's always 20/20, right? Erin is nervous. She's panicking. She's done something. Her world is crashing in. She knows she messed up.
Kitchen bench located against the wall. Recipe tin each book. Okay, I'm not sure. Again,
That's that recipe book.
that's that same book that the Wellington recipe come out of. Yeah. Right. From the fridge, we got the fruit salad platter, which you pointed out. Then in the fridge in the butler's pantry, we got the white jug containing the brown liquid, which you pointed out as well.
Yeah.
Right, so thank you for that. From the study, we took the computer. We took another computer and we took another computer. Right. In the lounge, we grabbed an iPad in a black and red case. From the room, we've grabbed a computer.
That being an old one I had up in the top of this cupboard.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
a very old one.
All right. So that, if I had to prioritise, that would be the bottom of the list.
I don't think anyone's power bill from fairly.
Okay. All right. No dramas. All right. So we'll pop that one at the back of the list. All right. A black mobile phone, which again I'll prioritise tomorrow for you.
Thank you.
Upstairs bedroom 2, far left towards backyard. It says Erin's bedroom, so I assume that's yours. Apple iPad.
I don't own any iPads, so but they would be tablets, Android tablets.
Oh, okay. There's a Samsung tablet listed below that, located on top of the bed.
Yeah.
Now remember, they were never able to get her phone back, right? Her original phone, she had that was shown in one of the surveillance things at the hospital. She got rid of that. So some of the stuff here, and first of all, notice how she was like, I don't own an iPad. It's an Android. She was like that. She likes to correct people. And I mean, I get what she's saying. It's like, you need to, dot your eyes on this. I mean, I'm just being petty myself, but all sorts of evidence on these things. So this had to be another layer where she was like, I'm coming in for a crash landing in these britches.
Okay. Maybe they've got it wrong that it's not an iPad, it's some other tablet. Samsung tablet. An Oppo mobile phone. And your mobile phone. Alright, so, yep.
And so you said a black mobile phone earlier.
Yep.
So that would be a Nokia. It's a really old Nokia that I've got for if you break your phone.
Yeah, yep.
And you got to send it away from repair and you need, so I've got this really old thing. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Your mobile phone would be the top.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about his work school computer, followed by
the GeoForce one.
The GeoForce one.
Yeah.
David,
I just, one thing I wanted to clarify, to make sure I've got it right, you obviously have been taking notes. When you went to the Lancaster Hospital and you said you went in there, and you got shown to the toilet, but you said you had to go home to pack stuff, and your daughter's bag and that sort of thing to feed the animals. When you had the conversation with Dr. Webster, was that when you first went there or afterwards?
I don't remember.
Sure. The other thing that I should mention that, I, again, to your credit, police went around your house on that morning.
Oh.
Yep. On the 31st.
Right.
Yep. And they were obviously responding to the hospital call to check up on you.
Yep.
And they spoke to you on the phone. And you gave them the PIN code for your gate.
Correct.
And directed them to the bin where there were some leftovers.
Correct.
What are those leftovers that you directed them to?
Throw the uneaten food on the lunch.
Okay. All right.
Now again, you see this part right here towards the end of the, oh, what are the leftovers? You know, oh, the uneaten food. Oh, you gave him the PIN number. You did this. Now again, with the other cop there who was like, okay, when this conversation took place, was it before or after? Regardless, none of it makes sense. You know, none of it makes sense. Now also, I think that she's in her world with a Nokia phone or whatever. She's definitely trying to set them up for why she doesn't have the phone, because she's already disposed of that. Okay, and remember, she'll also sit here and tell people after the fact that she gets caught with the video surveillance of her throwing the dehydrator away, where she's like, well, I got nervous because, you know, I had gone and gotten the mushrooms or, you know, whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I killed him with this. So let me go throw this away. Her story completely does not match up and completely fell apart.
So you helped them in getting that so it could be sampled.
Because my kids ate the meal too.
Yeah.
But there was stuff that was left over and it went straight in the bin. And so when I went to the hospital and they said they were concerned that everyone ate some contaminated food, I said, well, there's the leftovers in the bin, you can have it. Feel free to look through it.
Yep.
And I said, I'll go and get it if you want. And they said, well, that's fine, you need to go on a drip. We'll call the police. And I said, well, that's fine, just let them know I need to give them a PIN code.
Yep.
So they did that, and a bag of food appeared a bit later.
Yep. So yeah.
Yep.
So thank you for helping us locate that.
It's fine.
All right. Anything else, Dave? All right. Any questions at the moment? No. All right.
I guess they just wrap it up from there and then they're done or whatever. So let's just talk about some closing thoughts. Number one, like I said, there doesn't seem to be any kind of, you know, affect, any kind of emotion, any kind of thing. Even when she's talking about an emotion, she's removed from what she's saying. It doesn't sound authentic is what I'm getting at. Now, also, the biggest thing from here is, again, if you put yourself back in time to this interview, they are catching her in multiple lies here. Look at how easy she lies. When she said that she was nervous, that, oh gosh, I threw it away because I might have killed them or whatever, she's a very seasoned liar in my opinion, because she sits here and it's just like, you know, yeah, no, I've not owned a dehydrator. Oh, well, you know, a long time ago I had one. Like I was excited about foraging or making things from scratch, or nope, never foraged. Then all of a sudden, yeah, I do forage. Like it's back and forth. You know, oh, well, when I did this. Now, let me rephrase that. When I said that she's a seasoned liar, I think that she can lie very easily, but I also think she's both good and bad at it, because she's good at being able to, like, in the moment be like, boom, 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 here's this. I'm just going to say this. But she doesn't think about what she's lying about, and probably because her lies come from an emotional place. I don't know if that's like legit or not, but it's just what I'm thinking, as opposed to a more calculated. She doesn't seem to do well with calculated stuff. She seems to do really, really bad at it, right? Because I think if she was really, really good at it, we would not be here having this conversation at all, okay? And these people would still be alive. So anyways, that is it. I appreciate you watching this with me. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. What did you think of her lying? What do you think of the evidence coming out now that's painting the picture of like, oh, I mean, this is really, really bad. Okay, really, really bad. So that being said, also look out for Dr. Barry. She's gonna come on and talk with me about it, answer some deeper questions over the podcast channel. So excited for that. So anyways, thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate it. While you're in the comment section, doing all your dishing and all that type of stuff, leave some little sofas down there, maybe a little pillow, okay? It's a pill-shaped pillow, I guess you would call it, but a weird one nonetheless. But if you could do that for little Roscoe and Spirit, Bo and Luke, and you, the Sofa Squad, who helps make this channel possible in all the most wonderful ways, I do appreciate you. Thank you very much, and until we gather down there in that comment section to do all that stuff, I'll see y'all soon.
I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hey, welcome to the Sofa Squad. Sipping from the cup that hey, come laugh with the Sofa Squad. Can't roll my damn eyes hard enough.